Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of Synaesthesia with me, Rodney Orpheus, and my good friend, Mr. Andrew Lent. Hi,
Howdy.
everybody.
How are you, Rodney?
How am I? I'm completely frazzled. It's been a day. It's been a day of technical difficulty. So, hey, SenseNet. Thank you, host, for hosting the stream. That's great. Hi, everybody who's watching. Yeah. So everything's been a technical. Well, I decided to get a new computer and a new audio interface and install everything and run the stream. So I was literally still programming this stream up until 4 minutes ago. So I hope everything is working. Oh, also a new DAW and a bunch of new plugins, all on the new computer. So that's been
within the past 72 hours at that.
Yeah, in the past 72, all of that in the past 72 hours. Most of it in the past few hours, because if you'd seen me at 3 o'clock this afternoon UK time, I was not a happy bunny. Yeah, because like Andrew is mainly a Mac guy for doing music, but I mainly do my music on Windows stuff. Hey, thanks for the host. Yeah, so I'm mainly a Windows guy, though. I mean, though both of us, like, you know, I think our attitude is, who gives a shit what the computer is as long as it runs the DAW. I mean, the DAW is my OS when I'm making music. I don't give a crap what OS is underneath as long as it works. So I've been running Razer laptops for the last couple of years, which are great, except my Razer developed a small hardware fault, swollen battery syndrome, pretty common fault. So I sent a ticket off to Razer, and 4 weeks later, 4 weeks, they sent me a...
How many weeks?
They replied to the ticket 4 weeks later. Yeah, 4 weeks. So
that's service.
That's some kind of service, but it's not exactly the kind of service I want from a high-end laptop producer. 4 weeks, then another 2 weeks to get an RMA to send it to be repaired, and then a minimum 10 days turnaround for the repair. So,
of course.
So yeah, I got work to do, man. So I just bought myself
a busy boy.
Yeah, so I just bought myself a Dell XPS. And that's running here in the corner at the moment. A little tiny, little 13-inch XPS, which so far seems pretty nice, I have to say.
Yeah.
But and I had a little issue with that, not a major issue, a little tiny issue. So I thought, let's contact Dell support and see how many weeks it takes them to reply. So I put a ticket in, and they phoned me 4 minutes later. Right.
I think they have a larger team.
They
than
certainly
Razer
have.
does.
Well, it's certainly a more efficient team. So, you know, big ups to Dell for that one. So.
Let's start.
So anyway,
drinking.
let's talk about what we've got. A whole bunch of stuff on the show tonight. We're going to be dealing with.
Holy crap! Do we ever?
Yeah, we do. We are streaming on my Twitch channel. That's Rodney418. Twitch.tv Rodney418, and we're being hosted on a. Thank you, Live Dangerously. Yeah, well, you know, that's what we do. We're also streaming on YouTube, and we're streaming on Facebook. If you are watching right now on the live stream on YouTube or Facebook, first of all, great. Thank you for watching the stream. But secondly, you may want to look at going on to the Twitch stream, because if you are following or subscribing on Twitch, we have giveaways today. Dun, dun. We have a $200 plugin to give away. Not only an actually excellent $200 plugin to give away. So if you're, it's programmed to the chatbot. In order to enter, you need to follow the channel on Twitch. So follow the channel, and if you're subscribing to the channel, you get a second entry. So for double the chance to win, subscribe. So if you have a Twitch,
give us money.
Yeah, give us some money. You know,
sure you
if you have a Twitch Prime account or an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe. So please give us your subscription, and you could be, it could be a really good bet. Put it that way. All right, so
you could be famous and rich if you subscribe to us,
or at least slightly less poor, or at least slightly less richer in plugins.
Exactly.
Oh, the SenseNet's cheered 100 bits. Thank you, SenseNet.
Thanks. Yeah.
Oh wow! Look at the little purple logo that comes up when people do that. That's
never seen that.
Yeah, huh? That just shows how often people actually give us money.
Welcome to the future.
So yeah, and you'll see we have a little logo here, Synaesthesia, below us. We also have merch now. We've done T-shirts and sweatshirts and stuff already. Link on the Twitch page, and Andrew will be posting links to various things during the show. So anyway, let's actually start.
I will be your Vanna White.
Andrew told me to give SS. Okay. So let's. We will. This is live. We are taking questions and comments from the audience. We are watching the chat on Twitch. Again, if you want to actually say something, put it on Twitch. We can't really see the Facebook feed while we're broadcasting because it's a pain in the arse. But thank you for following.
Thanks for following Evil Unlimited.
Yeah. So yeah, if you want to ask questions or comment, let's do it. You know, we're here to talk. It's not just us talking at you.
And talk. And
we're
talk.
Here to listen.
And talk.
Listen. That's what we do. So let's talk about some of the exciting new things we've been looking at over the last few days.
Totally, dude.
What's my favorite thing of the week? My favorite thing of the week, I think. Let's show you my favorite plugin of the week. The other day I saw on some thing Ugritone, a company called Ugritone, which sounds like ugly tone but said wrongly. Ugritone. He makes samples, and it was an offer for a drum plugin for $5. Now, you know me, I'm Mr. Cheap Guy. I love cheap shit. You know, I've always loved cheap shit. And
hangs out with me.
Yeah, exactly. A $5 plugin is hard to beat, and this is called Anarchy Drums, which I love drum plugins and Anarchy Drums. It's a punk drum kit and a plugin. Yes, please. So I laid down the $5, and let's have a look at what it looks like. Let's see. What is this? Oh no, let me show you something else that I really liked this week. I saw this on an ad. This is we should make a new feature of stupid tech marketing of the week. This is my favorite one of the week. I saw this on an ad earlier for a loop company. I always had trouble finding loops that sound like me. Yeah, think about that for a moment.
Maybe it's like so depressing and sad. I want to hug this person.
That was
I hope they find the loop that sounds like
an actual ad that came up on my Facebook feed today that said, that was the headline. I always had trouble finding loops that sound like me. Well, yeah.
Because they're fucking loops.
Because somebody else's. But anyway, so let's talk about let's see what we get here. We've got VST instruments. There we go. There's Anarchy Drums up. This is the Anarchy Drums plugin. I'm running it inside Studio One at the moment, which is, but you're just seeing the plugin interface. So let me just sit to Studio One, and I think you guys can hear this. This is a drum plugin that sounds like it was recorded in your basement. Actually, surprisingly decent cymbals, but that kick drum is so raucous.
It sounds so farty. I love it.
It's. I mean, this is definitely not your Stephen Slate style drums, you know. This has been just so
recorded with only the finest SM58 that's been sitting in like a can of beer for the past 2 weeks.
I mean, $5 of pure character. I love this thing, and I love the interface. Like, oh, what does that do? Oh, that makes it bigger. Okay. Look at the mixer. Ooh. This is the mixer that comes with it, which is actually surprisingly featured. You know, because you've actually got you've got close front mics, rear mics, you've got overheads, and all the rest of it, room mics. And they've all got their own faders and the stuff, the pots are taken off. And I love the line out as RCA jacks. I mean, and the screwdriver. It's just pure class. I love it. I mean, everybody remembers when they had to plug into something like that, right?
Oh, yeah.
And then the really cool thing is that it's got a very sophisticated routing matrix. And it's got presets for songwriting, which is just stereo out. Then you've got simple mixing, which is 6 stereo out. Then you've got a full matrix, which is 16 stereo outputs with all of the different microphones. And this is the touch. It's got a sound check function, so I can sound check the drums.
Thanks for following, Calipora.
So that's great. Sound checks the drums. Like, give me the shells, give me the cymbals. And now give me the whole kit, please.
Having way too much fun, Rodney.
Yeah, so $5. It's a killer. I love it. I mean, what the hell, man? That's just...
If anything, you can annoy the shit out of everybody with it.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not. You're not. If you're doing your latest new Steely Dan record or whatever, it's not what you want. But then again, I don't want your stupid Steely Dan records anyway. This is what I want. I mean, I love stuff that's got character and power and energy. So $5, well spent, I think.
Yes.
And I just spotted they've got another one called Riot Drums, which they're offering for $5 now, and that's like 90s hardcore kit. So I'm pretty sure we'll be showing that one next week.
Yep, I just put a link up in there for that, so folks can check that out. Yeah, that's also on sale
you
right
go
now.
You subscribe to the newsletter, and they send you a $5 offer for that and Riot Drums. So yeah, it's it doesn't go up to 11, but it is what it is. And if you're making some really punky, scrappy music, which more people should be doing, that's the plugin you want, I think. So I like that.
And it sounds really, really good running through the Electron Analog Heat, because I did run those puppies through there and just made them extra crunchy, warm, like mom's pie.
Yeah, if it's not crunchy enough already. Yeah, I played around with a little bit in a mix, and yeah, with a little bit of work, you can really make it sound really exciting and fun, and it sounds real, you know. I like that. So from the ridiculous to the sublime, what else have we got today? MPC Beats.
Oh yeah,
this is a big piece of news. Thank you for following. So yeah, the new MPC Beats. Now I'm old school. I owned the original MPC 60. That's how freaking old I am. I actually owned an MPC 60, and
tell us what life was like in black and white, Uncle Rodney.
Yeah. And I made a bunch of records of that thing, and I loved the MPC 60, and I'm a huge Roger Lynn fan, and I think the MPC 60 was just that's a beautiful piece of equipment. To be honest, I think it was the best of the MPCs, because it just did what it said on the tin. It was it was so elegant. It was so. Thank you, Kelly, for it. She says I'm not old. I'm well seasoned.
You're also old.
So you know, I've been following the MPC thing for a while, and now they've got the MPC Beats, which is free, an entire MPC program DAW, which it really is now, and it's free, which is the price is hard to beat. Yeah. So let's have a look at the MPC Beats, shall we?
Beat. Yes.
And there it is. Well, it's filling the entire screen, so you can't. This is the MPC Beats, and the weird thing is, this is, if you look closely, this is actually running as a plugin inside Studio One right now. So it's a DAW. Right. You can put a DAW in your DAW.
Go dog.
So yeah, have you tried this, Andrew?
I have, and I have many opinions about it.
Okay. All right.
And yeah, information tray. It does not come with the crappy speaker to play it back, like we were talking about on my show on Saturday. But it's neat. It's great if you're getting started. It's great if you are creating this type of music that MPCs are known for, like just beat-driven stuff. The DAW that it's built around is crippled as hell. So if you need more than 4 to 6 tracks, then you're kind of limited to where you're at with that.
Okay.
He's just going to play over me. Doesn't give a shit. And the mapping that they said is like automatic for some of the stuff blew.
Really?
Badly.
I mean, because one of the things I liked about it is when you turn it on, it basically says what kind of hardware do you have, and it gives you a bunch of presets for obviously Akai stuff, but also Arturia and Novation and everything else. And you select what piece of hardware you've got, and it wires up the drum machine. Yes.
Correct. I have an Arturia Microlab 2 that I plugged into it, and or Minilab, and it showed up as like, oh yeah, you have this thing. We'll go ahead and we'll load up load up all the mappings, and all the mappings were dead wrong.
Oops.
Like they were all over the place, and none of the knobs did anything. So I had to go and trying to map that stuff manually once it's loaded in there is kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I mean, it's an MPC, right? I mean, one of the good things about it is it's got a bunch of presets that you can, a bunch of preset projects built in. There's a whole bunch here, so you can just do what I did, just drag one in, and then you've got your MPC drums.
Right.
And now, one of the things that I loved about all the MPCs, right from the original MPC 60, is the sounds. They have great drum sounds. I mean, the original 60 came with a bunch of drum samples they did in Air Studios, which were tremendous. And they've continued that all the way through. And these are still pretty...
Oh, yeah. They sound really good.
Yeah. And you know... You just want to make a track right away. I mean, they're exciting and it's fun. And you know, if I hit play, you can hear it running. So that's all just running in. I just hit play in Studio One. It runs like that. So you know, you're getting an entire DAW. I mean, it's mainly MIDI, but I think there are 2 stereo audio tracks, which
correct.
Is you're not going to record a band in it. But if you're making beats music, you know, if you're doing rap or EDM or whatever, then 2 audio tracks is probably enough for you, or at least enough to get you going. So you could make a record with this. It's got like, I don't know, about a dozen drum kits built in with lots of little, you know, with synthesizer sounds as well as that, and they can go chromatic as well as just be pads. So,
and in the standalone DAW, you can also run your own plugins on it as well.
Yes, you can run plugins, and it comes with about 100 plugins as well. It comes with all the Air Technology plugins, which were originally designed by a team at Avid for DigiDesign, I think, for Pro Tools, and then the company that owns Akai, what the hell, I don't know, In Music, they bought that and Akai, and they put them all together. So you get like 100 pretty decent professional plugins.
Sure, for free.
For free. So the original MPC, it does a lot more than the original MPC 60 did, and the original MPC 60 cost $5,000.
Right.
So
one of the
$5,000, ladies and gentlemen.
One of the things that I did like about this thing, because I did dive into it a little bit more. I don't know if you actually tried to make a track with it or not.
I have not tried to make a track with it yet. I've played around a little bit, but. I mean,
have fun with that.
Yeah.
So one of the things I do like about it is you can actually load in emulations of old MPCs. So like how, so like, you know how like a little goofy the MPC 60 was with how it handled grooves and stuff like that, how it grooved the MIDI for you.
Well, the reason it grooved the MIDI for you is because it had an 8088 processor in it. So as soon it could run 8 tracks, and if you ran 8 tracks of MIDI in that thing, the processor slowed down, and that's
so it emulates that processor slowing down. Like you can load the MPC 60 mode in it, and you can load 8 tracks into it, and it will start to slow itself down. So they have that built in, as well as like the weird bit resolution stuff that it would do in the different versions of it.
60
was, I think it was 16, wasn't it?
No. 16-bit was like, no, you had to buy a Fairlight to get 16-bit. No, Fairlight even was 12-bit. The MPC 60 was, Roger Lynn did an amazing thing with it. It was 14-bit compounding. So it recorded in 14 bits, and then it compressed it into a 12-bit space to fit onto a 12-bit processor. And then it would expand that back to 14 bits when it was playing it out. So you got this... And that was one of the great things. It gave it this amazing sound, because that compounding process had a sound all of its own. But that's why it sounded so good, because everything else at the time was 12-bit. So.
Right. So you can load those emulators into it, so you can make it sound like that 14-bit sound. You can do things like it'll slow it down, and it'll act like the older tech. And I like that part. And I can see using the plugin just to do those kinds of emulations just for giggles. But
if that's what you want.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Why not? I mean,
to me, like, again, don't get me wrong. You're getting an awful lot of stuff for nothing. You can't really argue about that. I mean, if you're a 16-year-old kid who wants, like, make some electronic music, hey, your ship just came in. This is what you want.
Oh yeah.
I mean, boom, you're done.
This thing is
great.
This thing is,
just get in there and start banging around. If you're doing education, oh my God. When I was lecturing, I mean, I used to lecture college, and one of the biggest problems we had was budgeting, you know, getting enough software for people. Well, hey, every kid in the class can have an MPC now for nothing.
Yeah, right. I know, and it's a great way to give, you know, it's the first taste of crack.
Yeah.
To get people
right.
into the,
well, that's the other thing. It's pretty obvious that the sales philosophy is give away the razor and sell the blades. I mean, if you look at the browser on the right-hand side there, look at the size of that giant advert, basically, for sound libraries. And that's cool. I mean, yeah. I mean, a lot of kids like buying loops and samples and whatever, and hey, this is a shop front for Akai, and that's cool. I mean, they're giving a lot away for free. They deserve to make something out of it. So if people buy a few libraries... I mean, I think the problem Akai, the reason they have to make it free, is it's something I've been saying for years, and people never really, I think, didn't really get it a lot, is that all software ultimately becomes free. All software, because the you don't have any unit cost. I mean, if I'm making a synthesizer, I've got to pay for the keyboard, I've got to pay for the circuit board, I've got to pay for the metal case it comes in, as well as paying for the development. So every single synthesizer costs me something, so you have to pay me something so I can make money. But software has no unit cost. It's just a development cost and a marketing cost.
Right.
Yeah. So if it costs me $100,000 to make a plugin, and I sell it, or it's 10 grand to make a plugin, whatever, 100 grand to make a plugin, I sell it for $100 to 1,000 people, I've broken even. After that, everything is profit. So if somebody brings out a better plugin for $50, I can drop mine to 25 and I'm still making money. I can't do that with a piece of hardware. So ultimately, the trend is it has to get lower. Always, always, always. So ultimately, everything's going to end up free. And they clearly, I mean, this is a good piece of software, but it's not Fruity Loops and it's not Ableton Live. So who's going to buy it?
Well, nobody, because it's free.
Yeah, nobody was going to buy it because everyone's got a copy of Ableton Live that they got with their interface or their keyboard or whatever. So, yeah, make it free. And I get that. Yeah. I totally get it. Yeah. And you know, I can't argue with the price. What I can argue with is the UI, because I freaking hate it. I mean, it is.
That's what I'm saying. Try making a track with it. It's not
It
fun.
is so... Ironically, for something that presents itself for being so up to the minute, I find the interface incredibly old school, in a bad way. I mean, it's so cluttered. There's so much going on that I spend ages just trying to figure out how to make a drum sound. I mean, for me, I would love to have just the drum machine. Just give me the freaking drum machine in a plug-in. You know, I don't need the audio tracks. I have a DAW. I don't need all the other stuff. But I can't get... All I'd like to do is put a drum track in and play it. But there's just so much going on the interface, and there's all these millions of little tiny buttons: bottom left, bottom right, top left, top right. You know, browser buttons. Everything's got a tiny, tiny little button, and the track names are so small. It's like
none of it is scalable.
And none of it's it's so busy. I mean, it's a classic example of creeping featureism. It's like the whole idea that, well, if it's good with this many features, if we put twice as many features in, it's going to be twice as good. And that's not how it works. You know, that's why I look at this and I'm like, yeah, I really miss my MPC 60, because the MPC 60 just did what it did on the tin. You know, it had 8 tracks and it went boom bang boom bang boom bang, and it had a slider for the hi-hat control. It was great.
So I was watching the tutorial videos for this thing, just
which
so I can get an idea and figure this out. Which are excellent, although the presenter dude just makes me want to like punch babies, but that's just me.
I looked at the videos. I thought the videos were amazing. I thought they had a lot of videos and they talked you through very, very well. So
absolutely,
I get no problem with that. I mean, they really backing it up.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is that like they keep on talking about how like the main feature, the main thing that you're going to be working with is the MPC buttons. Like the dude said that like 3 or 4 times. But if you look at this interface, yeah, that doesn't look like the main thing I'm going to be working on is those MPC buttons, because those almost look like an afterthought compared to everything else that's all over the place.
The other thing, they try to put everything on one page, and there's so much of it. Like, you know, here's your grid view here, and that's your wave view, and there's your list view. And that's all, but that's all contextual as well, because as soon as you change these things, other things happen. Right. And it's like, what? Where? How? Huh? You know, MIDI audio. I mean, there's just a million different. Look at these tiny little buttons here.
What the hell?
It's just maybe I'm just getting too old. I can't. But
SenseNet wants to know if it comes with bonus reading glasses.
Yeah, I mean, everything is so tiny and fiddly and pokey, and I hate to be critical of something that is a full-featured DAW that is free. I'll keep coming back to that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not looking a gift horse in the mouth. It's fantastic for what it is. But is it for me? No. I mean, but then again, I've got a DAW anyway. But yeah, like I say, for kids or people who really just want to get in there and bang shit out, yeah, why the hell not? I mean, some 17-year-old is going to make a top 10 record on this next year. Right. And God love him. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's punk rock from that point of view, you know? And so great. Thank you, Akai. You know, you've made a fabulous, fabulous program for nothing. But please, for God's sake, make it easier to get into. I just look at it and
says that the interface is shit is pretty useless altogether.
There's 1,000. Yeah, well, that's the problem. You know, the problem is that, you know, to the user, the interface is the product. Right. That's what they see. You know, it doesn't really. If it doesn't matter if it does a million things under the hood if I can't get to it. So that's the weak point. It's way too busy. And they have made some steps. There's like at the beginning, there's a couple of things that says, what kind of music do you want to make? R&B or pop or EDM or whatever. And you click on the button and it gets you up there. But then it's still through. And hang on. And this is the ironic part. This is the simple interface. There's an advanced mode. And this is the simple mode. There's an advanced mode. If I can remember how to get into it. Is it view or something? Yeah, mode. No, it's not. It's workspace. Yeah, advanced mode. And then you go into the advanced mode and it becomes more complicated. And I'm like, really? No. I like the way there's the biggest button on the screen is the help button. You know you have a UI problem.
They know better.
If the biggest button is the help button. And look at these tiny little menus with tiny little millions of tiny little. No.
I feel like we should be telling kids to get off our lawn. We're going with this like the size of everything.
But if anybody from Mac is watching, thanks for making it free. That is a really good move. So yeah, good on you guys. Anyway, whoa, we should move on. We've spent enough time on this already.
Kidding. We bitched out this.
So what else have we got to talk about? PreSonus.
You got a new audio interface.
I've got a new audio interface. Yes, I do. I mean, if anyone saw the show last week, we talked about the ESI M8U EX MIDI interface, which we raved about. That got our coveted Goes Up to 11 award. And so I just got the ESI 16.8 XT audio interface, which is, I'm actually using it right now. So I can't show it to you because we're running the show in it. How's that for living dangerously? But then next week we'll talk a bit more about that, I think, because then I'll have more time to really get into it. Because I hate reviewing something that I've only played on for 5 minutes. I'd rather get my ass and gear through it. But yeah, the 16.8 XT so far, wow, it's like a wow factor already. But yeah, more on that next week. But right now I'm running this entire show with Streamlabs and Studio One all running in the background and everything else through this thing at 128 samples latency, which is like, holy shit, that's good.
That's pretty damn good.
That is really good. So anyway, let's move on. PreSonus, we talked about Studio One last week a little bit. And I'm sure we're going to be talking about Studio One 5 a lot more in the next few weeks. But So we signed up to PreSonus Sphere. So this is the new thing from PreSonus, the Studio One 5, which, and I mean, I'm a big Studio One user. We're both big PreSonus fans here, I think. But they've done an amazing thing. They've finally made their stuff available on subscription. It's $15 a month, and you get everything. You get Studio One 5, you get Notion, you get a whole bunch of extra plugins. They just announced today that tomorrow you'll get a free library for the Presence XT and sample library. And so that's great. $15 gets you everything, and it's a great DAW. But the other thing they announced was that it also gives you a collaboration, and it's like, yes, this is awesome. In lockdown, we're collaborating. Andrew's in Cleveland. You know, my band, we're making a record right now. My guitar player's in Manchester. My keyboard player's in Hamburg, Germany. So we're doing everything remotely. So collaboration, yes, please. We will have that.
Right.
So can we bring it up on the screen? Oh, it's not coming. No, it's not coming up on the screen.
Put it on there.
It's coming up. Yeah, it screen shares on your Skype, but it doesn't come in through the NDI. Well, that's a bit annoying.
Maybe you need to add another NDI channel for.
We need another NDI channel for that. Huh. Yeah. Oh, well,
it's living in the future. Shit, something else.
Yeah. Well, we'll talk about it a little bit anyway. So yeah, the collaboration in PreSonus Sphere was like, we loved the idea, and it's not new. I mean, I've been working on collaboration stuff for years with Steinberg. We did a thing like 20 years ago, which never really worked that well. And then Ohm Boys did Ohm Studio 5 years ago, which is a really great DAW, which allowed complete collaboration inside the DAW. Had a chat window in the DAW. You could work with several people at the same time. Every time you recorded a track on your DAW, it pushed it automatically to everyone else. Right. It was a killer. It was way before its time, and no one ever bought it. So PreSonus are doing collaboration now. Excellent. So I opened up Studio One 5 to see how I could save a song to the cloud, and I couldn't find it. So then I went to the web page, and it's a web page. It's a web page that has two tabs, and one tab is a chat program, and the other tab is got an add files button. So you upload files, and then other people can download it. It's an FTP server, except no, even with FTP, I can do folders. There's not even a directory structure. Come on! All I can do is send flat files onto a web page. That's a collaboration feature. Please, come on. It's a total misfire. An absolutely it's worse than a really crappy drop. It's like a really crappy Dropbox, but you don't even put Dropbox. I mean, that's the thing. You can collaborate with Studio One right now using Dropbox. All you got to do, you set a Dropbox folder on your desktop. You point Studio One at that Dropbox folder as the song folder, and you save a song into it, and it preserves the file structure, and it automatically shares it with anybody else you collaborate with. That's how we're working right now. We're using Google Drive for that. And it's dead easy. It's dead easy with Dropbox. This system, you can't even preserve your song structure, because Studio One has a song file, and then it has a media folder with the audio files and so on in it. You can't even preserve that structure. All you can do is send flat files and make a text chat to you. I mean, what the hell, PreSonus? So what are you thinking?
The difficulty, I think that there's a couple of things with this, right? Like, first of all, I'm hoping that they fix this and make it better. But some of the biggest difficulties are stuff that, like, I think can be surmountable. Because, like, the big thing, like, when I'm collaborating with, like, my buddy Justin out in Chicago, is the fact that we have different plugins, right? We have different licenses and stuff like that. So, honestly, what would be lovely is if they did kind of like what we do with Fantasy Grounds. Where people played Fantasy Grounds before. One person buys a license, other people download the demo, and then while you're playing, you have you're kind of borrowing the license to do all the stuff. And doing something like that with your plugins and stuff like that is to me should be the way to go. Like you get your one person owns the license while you're collaborating with somebody else. They get a chance to use that license, so that way you can do all your cool rock and roll shit, and you don't have to do what we're doing, which is literally like like exporting out the audio, sending it over, playing it, and then they play it back, and then they export their audio and send it back over. And next thing we know, have these huge fucking files, that are just ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, what I've started doing is I'm using half the plugins we're using now are free plugins, because that way we have a list of free plugins with links, and I have a shared folder full of free plugins, and then all my collaborators, I just share that folder and say, install these plugins and they'll work, and that's it. And if it's something that's really, really, really good and really essential, I will try and persuade them to get a copy of it, or else we render things down. But rendering shit down over and over again is such a pain in the arse, especially if we want to make a small change.
Or if you're trying to mixing with when all you have are stems or renders.
Yeah, it's so that's what they should have been doing. Yeah, they should have been doing that. Where, I mean, and I guess that's where the subscription comes in, because when you subscribe to PreSonus Sphere, like they have one of the things they have on the PreSonus Fat Channel is that you can change the compressors and you can change the EQs. Right. And when you subscribe, you get a whole bunch of alternative compression emulations, like LA2A and 1176 emulations, and they just come automatically, and they're there. So if your collaborator's got the $15 a month thing, he's got all those plugins too. That makes sense. But yeah, I think the Fantasy Grounds model makes a lot of sense, because I can make you a collaborator. Even the other thing is, I could, like the way Fantasy Grounds says that they've got a normal license and an ultimate license. And the ultimate license licenses anyone who's connected to you. And so, if you're a professional producer, you could pay the little bit extra, get an ultimate license, and then anybody you're working with gets to use it while they're working with you. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, I think that would be a cool way of doing it, and that would solve a lot. But again, that's getting all the plug-in manufacturers on board with that kind of thing.
Right.
Like this collaboration thing I can see in the future working really well, because PreSonus does make decent plugins and stuff like that. And so using the stuff that they have, which is obviously what they want you to do, hence why the term sphere as an ecosphere comes into play as far as their cloud-based services. But if you have to flatten your files and stuff like that and render them out before you give it to anybody, then it doesn't make any difference. Yeah. But if you actually have like the active projects instead, then they can load it up with your PreSonus plugins and everything like that and go to town. Granted, who only uses the plugins that comes with their DAW anymore? I mean, almost nobody, because the first thing you're going to do is you're going to find, a much better compressor, PSP. You're going to find, a much better,
EQ,
multi-sampler synthesizer, Omnisphere. You're going to find all those other things. You're going to use that shit instead. So really, it's getting all those other plugin companies on board to be like, okay, we'll let you do this license sharing system.
Right. Well, yeah. So yeah, I mean, I used to be, disclaimer, I used to work for PreSonus. I love PreSonus. I still have a lot of friends there. But I am glad I'm no longer the evangelist who has to try and sell this abortion of a concept. Because I would be embarrassed trying to sell this as a collaboration system. It is terrible. Terrible.
Now that being
pointless. Said, the other thing is the $15 a month is good enough value anyway.
Right. And the thing is the thing that I've dug so far about this, and I just subscribed last week. So I'm new to the whole thing and everything like that. And I do like the fact that they're literally like, here's shit for free, like this Deep Flight 1 that they just came out with today, which is an amazing synth and sample pack. And they're like $99 if you don't have a subscription. It's free if you do. Thanks, guys. That's cool as hell, as well as like the audio compression application that they have, that you can take any audio format and turn it into any other kind of audio format. That piece of software. They're like, yeah.
The other thing is like, it's free. Is the console emulation stuff they have is that's insanely cool.
Oh god,
and nobody does anything like that at all. So I don't get it. But anyway, we'll be talking more about the good stuff in Studio One in the next few weeks, in case anyone's wondering. But
because I'm still learning it. So.
But the collaboration thing, whatever.
Yeah,
that's okay. Well, let's
keep trying.
Let's move on to something that's actually good. For a change, what do we got? We were talking about channel strips, so let's talk about channel strips. So, Yeah, we're going to talk about the Psp Infini Strip, and we're going to be giving away a Psp Infini Strip later in the program. So if you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube, go to the Twitch channel and follow the channel to be able to enter, and subscribe to get an extra subscription, because this is a $200 plugin and it's freaking incredible. We'll tell you that right now.
It really is.
So what do we? So yeah, it's a channel strip. Let's talk about channel strips. So if we have a look here, let's have a look. This is the first sort of channel strip I ever used. This is the Classic Waves SSL channel strip, and it's great. I mean, people love channel strips now because they take a lot of the guesswork out of things. You got some filters, you got some EQ, you got a compressor, and a few other bits and pieces, and it sounds more or less like an SSL kind of thing. It's great. Used it a lot. So they did that. Lots of other people do channel strips. What else have we got? What have I got in here? Like the Eventide Ultra channel. Very nice little channel strip. This has got a really nice sort of bus compressor and some harmonizers and stuff. And then we talked earlier, the PreSonus Fat Channel. Now the PreSonus Fat Channel is interesting because it's semi-modular, so you've got a lot of different compressors, you got a lot of different equalizers, and you can pick from those. But the one we're looking at tonight is this thing. This is the Psp Infini Strip, which you can see on your screen is a whole lot of nothing right now. But what's cool about this, let me just hang on. I got a bit of it off the screen here. Let me just reset that so we see it all. Fit the screen. There we go. So there is it's an empty box. I mean, if you know these lunchbox style things, it's basically it's a completely modular channel strip, and it's got a preamp section, it's got filters, it's got a gate section, a compressor section, EQ, limiter, control, and a couple of insert points, and they're also movable. Hang on, I just moved the wrong thing. Hold on, go back.
That's why we can have nice things.
Yeah, that's why we can't have nice things. I'm losing track of my own windows. So, and you've got a bunch of each one. So if I look at the preamps here, you've got 5 different preamps. You've got a gain stage that's right there, and just gains your track. Yeah, turns it up and down. But you can also have a 1960s gain, and it's basically like an old tube desk. It's got a tube driver built in, and even does analog noise in the module. Which is great. I mean, if you want to sound like the classic Rolling Stones records or the Velvet Underground, it's excellent. And then you've got a 70s plugin, which is kind of like a Neve front end with a Neve drive on the desk. You've got an 80s one, which is 80s sounding, and then the most absurd thing imaginable, the 90s one, which has a 12-bit converter built in.
Perfect.
Oh, that's magnificent. A 12-bit converter, just what we've always wanted. It does it emulates a 12-bit ADC, and I was thinking, like, I'm looking at this like, who the hell would want a 12-bit converter? And then I'm thinking, oh yeah, the MPC 60 was in Fairlights for 12-bit. So I actually put some drums through this earlier, and sure enough, it makes it sound like an MPC 60. So you get that granular kind of sound, which was kind of. So I don't need
to use that MPC plugin.
Yeah,
perfect. So, I like it even better.
Yeah, so that was kind of nice. So yeah, you've got all those different gain stages. And then you've got filters. You've got three filter stages. There's basic filters, pro filters, and then there's a sidechain filter, which you can use to sidechain the other effects, which is fabulous.
Nice.
And then you've got gate. You've got expanders, a expander, a gate, and a ducker. Take your pick. And then compressors. You have an opto compressor, which is similar to, I think, a little bit like the PSP old timer, which I think you've used, Andrew.
Yes. Which is a fantastic compressor.
Yeah, I mean, for those guys who don't know who PSP are, PSP Audioware, they're this tiny little company in Poland, and they've been making VST plugins since forever. And their stuff is fan-frickin-tastic. It really, really, really sounds good. And so this optical compressor sounds great. And then they've got a FET presser. Now, I've used their original FET presser, which this is modeled on, a lot. And it is amazing. It's a fabulous compressor. It's really transparent, and everything sounds so good through it. That is a beautiful thing. And then there's a VCA presser, which is basically like the SSL bus compression. So it's also, great for drum buses, synth buses, whatever. and that's fantastic. And one of the things you might notice if you look at these, you see this is attack, release, threshold, ratio, mix. I'll move a few knobs on this just so you can see me moving them, and then I'll switch to another compressor, and it's got the same knobs in the same positions each time. So once you get a sound you kind of like, you can switch between the different models. All of them have the same functions in the same place all the time. So you learn really fast what you're doing, and you can really compare the different kind of quality of sounds you get. Same thing goes for the EQ. There's the new channel EQ, which I haven't used a lot yet, but it actually sounds really good from what I've used. And then there's the precursor, which is based on an older EQ of theirs, an individual EQ, which I've used a lot, and it's fantastic. It sounds so good. Really sweet, really musical, kind of like a Neve kind of thing to my ears. And then the retro EQ, which is the EQ I think that comes from their first real classic plugin was Vintage Warmer, which Vintage Warmer's been on hundreds of hit records, and that's the EQ from that. And again, same kind of functions. You've got your frequency, your volume, and then you've got different levels of curves and bandwidth, all in the same place, same functions, same thing. It's great. And then you've got limiters. You've got an optical limiter and a VCA limiter, which are based on the PSP Twin L limiter, which again is an absolute classic. Then you've got a master control section, which has stereo width and volumes and balance. And then you get two insert effects, which you can have anything you like. So there's like a de-esser and a de-hummer. And you can also, oh, hang on, what just happened? Someone just crashed. No, don't say it so. Yes.
Fucking Windows 95.
It literally just crashed. It's the first time. Studio One just crashed completely on me. Well, there you go. It doesn't do mid-side. Our Architect's awesome. It doesn't do mid-side, which is a pity because I freaking love mid-side. I mean, I use a lot of Brainworks plugins because of the mid-side functions. So it's pure stereo. So the master width is just a basic width control. But the thing about, I mean, PSP's motto is, it's the sound that counts, and it really is. The thing about this plugin is it sounds freaking fantastic. Every module in it is just perfect. So it's,
and all that stuff loaded up gives you still zero latency.
Yeah, it's completely zero latency. Beautiful. So earlier on, I was actually doing a live stream with my voice going into the DAW, into Studio One, through the InfiniStrip and coming out and singing over the music at 128 samples on the interface with zero latency on all of those modules. So it was and it was perfect. It sounded really amazing. And I did a mix earlier. I had a mix where I literally used InfiniStrip on every channel, like drum, all the individual snares, bass, synthesizers, vocals, whatever. It sounded freaking great. Just so good. I'm absolutely stunned. Absolutely stunned.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great sounding plugin.
Yeah, so as Nigel says, these go to 11. Yeah. It's $199. It's not cheap. PSP stuff isn't cheap. But on the other hand, it's $199 for 3 compressors, 3 EQs, a whole bunch of other stuff, great game modules, blah, 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 zero latency. Yeah, it's a deal. It's a steal. I mean, yeah, and for comparison, I set up a drum bus mix on the InfiniStrip earlier, and then I set the same, or as close as I could get to it, with the PreSonus Fat Channel, with the same kind of with the 1176 FET compressor and so on, and the same kind of EQ, and I could get it more or less the same, you know, the same kind of sound with the same kind of modules. But when I A/B'd them, the difference was astounding, because the mix with the PSP InfiniStrip just sounded so sweet. It was so great. I was ecstatic how good it sounded. And the PreSonus one with the built-in plugins, yeah, it sounded good, but ... you know. So yeah, InfiniStrip is like plug-in of the week, plug-in of the month. I mean, I love it. Absolutely hugely recommended. Definitely gets the Ghost to 11 award. And yeah, we've got we're going to give one of these away actually. So let me start the competition up if I can remember how to do it on this software.
So yeah, please follow us if you'd like to enter for a chance to win InfiniStrip from PSP AudioWare. If you subscribe, you get an extra entry. Woo. So if you're not following already, please do so if you want this thing, because it is a killer plugin. Even though it sounds like it's just utility, sometimes you need the utilities.
Okay, thank you for following DJ Syntech. Oh, wow. That's somebody from that guy there. All right. Yeah, so if you want to enter the raffle, it started now in the chat. You go to the Twitch chat and put in !raffle into the chat window, and that will automatically enter you. So we know that this is kosher stuff. So just put it in the chat. Just type in !raffle, and you will
notice that Rodney and I are not typing it in right now.
No,
we're going to let you guys go for it.
We've already got it. So. So yeah, you've got 9 minutes left to enter. So somebody entered. Nobody's entered. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah,
Acutech
got a ticket. All right, you're in with a chance. Anybody else?
I know, right?
So yeah. So what else do we want to talk about today, apart from all this stuff? Oh yeah. Free plugin of the week. Well, free plugin of the week.
Oh yes.
It's an offer that ends today, ends tonight. So if you're watching this live, if you download the Roland Cloud Manager application. So Roland had been doing this Roland Cloud thing, you know. Now I was a big Roland user back in the day, but you know, Roland have basically been sitting on their laurels for the last 20 years, 30 years now. And so they'd had this Roland Cloud thing where you subscribe and you get access to emulate, you know, all the Roland Boutique stuff, all the emulations, the plugins, whatever. Is it worth it? If you're a big Roland fan, yeah, maybe. But if you download the Roland Cloud Manager today and go through a very convoluted UI process, you can get a JV1080 plugin for free that you can keep. JV1080. I mean, remember when those used to cost $2,000? Now they're giving them away free if you download Roland Cloud Manager. Yeah, there's the thing. Go to Roland Cloud, download the Cloud Manager, get a free account, and you can. And if you look through I think it's your library on the Roland Cloud Manager. You can find the Roland JV1080 in there, and if you download it today, you get to keep it. And there's 3.
It's like they're giving it to you as a reward for going through their extremely convoluted sign-up process.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And you get 3 libraries for it. I mean, you can't really edit it much. It's basically a rompler like the original 1080 was. But you get 3 libraries, and the libraries sound really good. So whatever. And they also have this Xenology plugin you can download, which is basically a preset greatest hits player. It just plays presets from various different Roland synths, but actually they're really pretty good. And there's also, if you download today, you get an SH101 library for it, which has some really nice SH101 basses and stuff. And so you get the Xenology plugin and the SH101 library. And also there's the thing about the Xenology's got a really nice TR-808 kit in it as well, actually. So it's actually pretty decent. I mean, the rest of it, whatever. But you know, hey, take it while it's hot.
Yeah. Sense says they need to give the 808 plugin for free on 808 day. They should have done 707 for 707 and then 727 yesterday.
Yeah, right. Well, I think Samples from Mars were giving away some 727 samples, but who the hell wants 727?
Oh yeah,
that thing was horrible, horrible. I'm old enough to remember. I mean, I had a 707. And actually, I used that I used a 707 on a bunch of records, and that thing was all right. If you like dead, very basic 12-bit rock drums, it did the business. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Roland person. I have I'm selling a Alpha Juno 1, so if anyone's looking for that, probably PM me.
It's rubbish.
And I have
it's horrible. That's a terrible synthesizer.
That's why I'm selling it. Someone gave it to me. Like, they literally brought it over for my birthday 5 years ago, and they're like, here. And I'm like, great. You know, if you have a MIDI knob box and it's easy, you can program it and make it, you know, you can do your Hoover sound, and that's really what the thing is, all it does. And then I have the Roland Do5, which is just the teeny tiny version of the D50, which, you know, the D50 is, I can make Enya sounds until the day I die with it.
Yeah, believe it or not, we used to use the D50 all the time with the Sisters of Mercy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, everyone used the D50.
Back in the day,
it was like the poor man's. It was great. It was a great piece of gear.
Yeah. So so there's less than 5 minutes left to enter the raffle, and so if you haven't entered yet, ! Raffle to win a PSP Infini Strip worth $199. Well, that's what the cost is. It's actually, in my opinion, worth a great deal more. Anything else you want to talk about that's been new and exciting while we're here?
Well, I built stuff. I built a
what?
This thing
What's
back
that?
here.
You built an oscilloscope?
I built an oscilloscope.
You're such a nerd. That's the nerdiest thing.
Sure as shit am. Yeah, it's great. That was a lot of fun. It was like adult Lego. I mean, I'm hooked on DIY kits. I can't wait to buy more. Waste my money on these things that I may or may not ever use.
Are you going to get one of those Synthium things that we talked about last week? The one with the Raspberry Pi.
You know, those don't really do those don't do much for me. I'm thinking I would like to do is I'd like to get a old aluminum tin whatever Pac-Man lunchbox and turn that into a little like techno box, basically, of just like modular techno gear, and like little 808 emulator, you know, of like, you know, for kick drums and snares, and like a little like 909 bass noise thing, and, you know, carry it around and with my lunchbox. And I love the fact that you are rolling your eyes at me for wanting to do this. That makes me want to do it even fucking more. But let's solder them all together and do it.
Okay, fair enough. As you wish.
Yeah. Hey. Don't judge me.
Always judging you. The world is always judging you, Andre. Alrighty.
Let them judge.
So, has anyone else got any comments or questions or anything else they'd like to ask? Well, you've got us for another 3 minutes. It's 3 minutes to count this thing down, or I can close it right now. If you're.
Oh, I did also pick up a reverb unit module as well.
What the hell? What, hardware reverb?
Yeah, it's for the module. It's the Earthquaker Afterneath, which is a pedal that they make, but they turned it into a Eurorack module that is just insane.
Eurorack, or
so some of the things that what we do here for people who are software nerds like Rodney is some people like to do things like play shows with more than a laptop, and so we tend to do things like. There's plenty wrong with me. That's why you love me so damn much. So we build these like crazy modular synthesizers, and we can custom it however we want to, and it's a lot of fun. And then we can nerd out.
The thing is, the difference between you and me is that I'm a little bit older than you, and I started with modular gear. You know, my first record, right? On my first record in 1985, it was made on an MS-20, Korg MS-20, Korg MS-50,
right,
Korg SQ-10 sequencer, Roland MC202 sequencer, a Pro 1, an 808, and a 909. And that was all cobbled together on a wall.
And you went down, and then you went downhill from there once you started going software.
No, I spent way too much time repatching shit. The day I got my first synthesizer with patch memories was like, oh god, yes, thank you so much.
It's fun.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a blast. I mean, I work with a lot of folks that do, you know, we do like modular on the spot. So we actually do like shows in the middle of like parks and stuff like that, and
bleep,
bring generators.
Blop, bleep, blop, bleep, bleep, blop, bloop,
yep.
Beep.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fun. We have a good time doing it. You know, judge all you want. You know, at the same time, I do make pop records and stuff, just like you.
Kidding, man. It's great. I'm
gonna drive out there. Don't make me come out there, Rodney.
I can nerd out over modular stuff as much as the next guy. Trust me. I've been there, done that. So,
Oh yeah. So I have fun, and I'm a hardware person, so I do invest a lot in hardware. Yeah. But at the same time, I use DAWs and stuff like that. So I'm all over the place with this.
Well, most of the hardware I've got is just hardware to control the software, like my Arturia Spark or something like that.
Right.
I mean, there's a Blofeld sitting back there, which I do love. I mean, I do love the synthesizer, but 90% of the time it's just being used as a keyboard. So.
Right.
So yeah, so we will hopefully be back next week. What are we going to talk about next week? Well, we'll talk about the ESI 168XT, which, like I say, is my new favorite toy. We will talk a bit more about Studio One version 5 for sure. You can no longer render the Raffle, and I'm sure we'll find out we'll have some other fun things to play with.
There's some other stuff that actually they just announced today that we should probably talk about next week as well. Well, we can talk. We'll talk about it next week.
All right.
Yeah, doesn't that sound like the angry girlfriend? We'll talk about this later.
Yeah, it's like, all right, so how do I close this? Okay, the Raffle's closed. Pick a winner. Let's pick a winner. Hey, Califora, you're a winner.
Hey, Califora. Congratulations on winning the PSP AudioWare InfiniStrip.
All right, so Califora, if you... Well, you're on Facebook, yeah. Congratulations. Send us a message later on Facebook and we'll send you the key for that, and you're going to make some nice sounding noise. And in case you didn't win it this week, we have another key to give away next week. So yes, we have another key for the Psp Infini Strip. Tune in next week and you'll have an opportunity to win it then. So congratulations, Califora, and everybody else, tune in next week. Thank you very much for being with us. It's been an absolute pleasure, as always. Hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you later, folks.
Cheers. Bye.